Good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon. This is Spirit Journey. Today is Sunday, October 18, 2020, and the time is about 2:36 p.m. Boy, today is a lazy day for me. I am absolutely tired. Yep. I went out yesterday. I had to do some errands, and then I came back home, and then I brought my little gang, my little doggies, Lily, Lilac, and Lavender, out and about. We went to the park, walked about, and then came back. So my leg muscles are tired. In fact, I find that if I do a slow walk, it seems to use more of my muscle groups. Yes, good afternoon, viewer. Good afternoon. Welcome. I'm just getting started here. Yes, I'll say hello in the chat room. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm actually tired. Yeah. Today I want to just talk about a few things. I'm gonna talk about um. I was watching one of the rallies yesterday, Trump rallies yesterday, and want to give some opinions about that and about Biden. Um, talk about um, my walk yesterday. There was a some type of demonstration that was given yesterday. Yeah, that was in the park, and how I felt. Yeah, so just gonna free float this live stream. And I hope you guys could hear me clearly. Yeah, I'm in bed right now. I have one of my little doggies with me. Yeah, I groomed two of three of their hair. Got much of the knots out. My little boy, Lavender, I didn't do him. He hates, he's very tender, tender skinned. Yeah, he doesn't like being groomed. Yeah, I have to get him. You have to comb out their hair thoroughly so that I could give him a good shampoo. I shampooed um, my little girl Lily earlier last week, and it came out pretty good. Okay, had a little mishap, but she's fine though. So let me see now where I begin. Yeah, so I'm a little tired from walking yesterday. Um, while I was at the park, Central Park. Yes, hello again, viewer. Yes, hello. When I was at the park, Central Park yesterday, that's in New York City, I heard like a rally or something, and I felt edgy. Yeah, and in fact, I have to be honest. Before I left to go to the park, I started earlier today. I did feel a little cranky. Um, I'm not sure exactly why. I think part of it is the current events with everything. Uh, Wanted to know what type of path I should pursue at this point. I think with this COVID, it threw many of us, you know, out of lurk, and we have to maybe readjust our plans of what we thought we wanted to do, and the money factor and everything like that. Uh, I was about to, yeah, I just needed to get out. So I wanted to go out initially by myself. I said, I just want to pick up a few things and, come back and maybe even go out with the dogs later on. So as I was leaving, my little girl, my little Shih Tzu, she almost ran out the apartment. Yeah, she very rarely ever does that. You know, some years ago, maybe, yeah, some years ago, she actually left the apartment, and I didn't see her sneak out. I was putting something outside, and when I turned around, she had maneuvered outside the door. I was preoccupied with the other two dogs leaving the apartment, trying to sneak out in the excitement. Yes, hello, new viewer. Yes, say hello in the chat room if you like. So anyway, yeah. So yesterday she was on her way out. Yeah, that was the Shih Tzu. Her name is Lilac, and she had the surgery maybe 2 months ago. No, 3 months ago, and she's recuperating nicely. She had back surgery, and so her mobility isn't the best, but it's getting better. And she playfully, was inches away from exiting the door before I did, and so I had to, stop her, and then I closed the door. But I started to feel guilty. I said, "Oh my God, my little girl, she wanted to come with Mama." And I'm very sentimental. I am a softie at heart, and yeah, so I felt a little down. I said, because I just wanted some time alone with them, and I it wasn't I didn't expect her to do that. She usually hangs out in the opposite side of the apartment, farthest away from the door, and it's usually my other two dogs who may, get near the door to leave. They don't want me to go. And in fact, the other two dogs, they were real quiet. So it's really something how things happen. So I started to, like, when I left, I said, oh, I feel guilty, I'm leaving my little girl behind. And I felt later on, I felt like I wanted to, I think I started to cry a little bit. Yeah. Um, but it's all good. It's all good. But, I'm being honest, how I felt. So by the time I got to the Central Park, and then I heard the rally going right by. Yeah, it was right near um, Trump Towers by Columbus Circle, where there was a rally, and I felt very um, irritable, very very irritable. I felt, and I I mean how I feel about the rally now. Many of you know that I am a Trump supporter, but I do have concerns. Yeah, yeah, and I see someone already left already because I said that. But I like to be real with people, and it's not all about views. It's about being honest and candid about how I feel and my journey in this whole thing that we call life. And I have a lot of concerns with Trump now, but I will discuss that a little later on in this live stream. Um, I have my anger um, with the rally, that many of the people at these rallies, you have the wannabe communists, and then you have the um, Black Lives Matter people, and they usually get black women to speak at these rallies. And it's like, whatever happened to the black man in leadership in the black community? Yes, another person stop viewing, but it's all good anyhow. So I'm concerned about that you have an event that allegedly most of the people, blacks who are dying at the police hands, are black men. But at these rallies, you usually just hear black women. And nothing wrong for a woman or any type of woman to speak out in a rally. Nothing wrong, but it's like, hey, if who's being targeted, you know, why aren't they speaking? And so you can get firsthand how they experience their reality and what they would like for these things to stop. I want to hear that. And so I start to feel, and I'm being honest, I start to feel impatient, cranky, because you hear another um, loudmouth, another loudmouth woman, and it's irritating. And it's like, I wish some of these ladies in the uh, black community would really speak out things that affect us every day. Now, we aren't shot every day by police, and it's not an everyday event. But what usually is something like an everyday event is black on black crime. And I'm wondering why these rallies are not discussing this phenomenon, this self hate that many American blacks have. This is not discussed. A rally to say, hey, we have this problem, let's fix it. Let's fix that we call each other the N word. Let's fix it that we have drug dens next to our homes. Um, what about the rapists that you find in the churches called pastors? They're not discussing that. So they have all this crap that's being done by their so called own kind, right? Usually black people live with black people in these communities, right? But that's but somehow this black woman that likes to talk with a real big mouth, somehow she's talking about everybody else hurting the black community, but they're not addressing when we hurt ourselves. And it's this making me angry. Angry. Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution says only gold and silver shall be money. So why are people voting to allow? Okay, I couldn't read all of it. Uh, but thank you for sharing that. But it gets me angry. I'm angry at this. Why aren't these rallies taking place to discourage black women or West Indian women in New York City from having these abortions? If black lives really matter, then how come this chick ain't talking about this? Gee, I heard that with the fetuses that are aborted, that they use the bodies of those babies in experiments and use it to make beauty supplies. It's horrible. And I start to feel that this whole thing is almost like a charade. It's to hype up. It's designed to create anger in the community so that you will riot. That's what they want you to do. And once they finish using you from getting angry, you know, then they're gonna turn off the faucet, so to speak, because you did your job, and then they're just gonna walk away from you, and you're left with the same mess: black on black crime, people selling drugs to one another, people who are committing incest on their children, or the relatives, or the perverted pastors that are plaguing our communities, the violence, or the school system, a school system that is designed to motivate, to teach skills, to expose you to all different types of occupations, and choosing occupations that will benefit the community as a whole, but instead they're focusing on some cop or white cop, God forbid if it's a white cop. No, I mean, I don't want anybody, any cop killing anybody, who is innocent, you know. Um, but you need to look into some of these alleged victims. And I heard some of these things, like with Breonna Taylor, that she was under investigation for months. It's not like that it was just they entered the wrong apartment and it was just a stray bullet that hit her. She was under surveillance for a long time. Her car, she had rented a car, and this was a boyfriend, past boyfriend, or some boyfriend that she knew, uh, used the rented car and put a dead body in it. She cooperated with the cops, and they didn't throw her in jail, but she lost her job. So she was not employed as a nurse, but they say that, oh, she's a nurse. No, she got fired because she did a no-no. But it seems like that people in the black community, especially the poor black communities, that we like to protect questionable people, questionable people's background, you know. Um, and I think I say this like that um, because, like, and I shared this before my video, the incident that happened when I got groped by this man, and I ran to a window, a store window. This is in my neighborhood that I lived in over 17 years. It's like a block away from me. And I tell her, please call the cops. This man just, groped me, blah, blah, blah. And the lady was a black woman, a very, very young black woman. Did she call the cops? No. What she did was she yelled at me for asking her to help me. So it's like, hey, wait a minute. All these women are so quick with the gums when it comes to a white police officer or white anybody. But you're cruel and you're mean to one another. That's what I want to address. You don't like one another. And this was a very young woman. She could have been in her late teens or early 20s. I'm way over, old enough to be her mother. So it's a lack of respect. It's a lack of compassion. The fact that I'm so much older than her, and she sees the guy coming towards me again, and no empathy. There's a lack of empathy in some members in our black community, but you come all out of yourself with others. And I start to wonder, who's the real enemy in our black community? You have to ask yourself that. So that's how I feel. So I feel very cranky yesterday when I was hearing the lady at the rally, you know. Um, and then I try to forget about, you know, but she was talking so loud, you couldn't help but hear. Um, and I spent some time on. Then I came home. I watched. They had a Trump rally when I got home. On television, and I was watching it. And so this is what else I want to talk about. I want to talk about now about this rally. Now, basically, I am a Trump supporter, but I have some concerns. Grand Rising, my sister. Hey, how you doing, Veronica? Yes, hello. Yes, so I do have some concerns, and again, I'm going to be honest how I feel. I feel a little hesitant um, something's kind of controversial. Um, let's see, where do I begin? Towards the end of the rally, uh, now Trump was saying something about that, um, like he was concerned that the many Democrats want to teach anti-American sentiment in the school system, and that he wants to put in a new curriculum that's going to be pro-American and put America in a good light in history. And he was concerned about the, what do you call it, the statues that were being pulled down, and he implemented a law that's already on the books, but to um, follow that law, which is that if you pull down a federal statue or monument, 10 years in prison. Okay. So, yeah, that would stop a lot of that stuff from happening, and it did. It did. But this is where I where I clash with President Trump. Now, I am a veteran. I am pro-American because I'm born here. If I was born somewhere else or lived somewhere else, wherever where my feet are, support the land that you live on. Very simple. So I'm living here in New York City, and again a veteran of the United States Navy. Um, I experienced a lot of things being someone that lives here, and I was exposed to a lot of racism. Racism does exist, and to spin a narrative that makes it look like that, like, I don't like when they say the American forefathers or our forefathers. Now, why I feel sensitive about saying that, because it's romanticizing these men, and these men had done horrible things to certain people. And I don't want to sugarcoat these men. These men, like George Washington, he was a major, major slave owner. And to get into power, political power, when he wanted to run for president, he had married this lady whose father was also a major, major slave holder. And so they put their resources together. The guy was, no wonder why he won the presidency. He had all that money to run for office. And people in those days, the only way how you can vote is that you are a landowner. You had to be white and you had to be a landowner. So you have a lot of poor whites and they couldn't vote. So it was a um, it was a new nation that was for the privileged. And it was a new nation that was about enslaving, human trafficking. See, we like the term, see, human trafficking is a new term that's being used. It's an old event, but it's a term that now has a different connotation because it's saying that anybody could be human trafficked. When you say slavery, you think of chattel slavery and black people / African. So, um, it to call these people, these leaders, you know, founding fathers, these were terrorists, and I say it like that. These were terrorists, and they went around this continent devouring. And they did not give thanks to those indigenous people that were here when they helped them survive their first winter, what they call the pilgrims. What happened a few years later? They're pushed off their land. They were deemed suspicious. Okay? And again, you had the human trafficking of Africans. And again, I'm reading this book. Let me show you. Again, I'll show you what I'm reading. I'm almost done. Okay. Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Beecher Stowe. And yes, Uncle Tom's Cabin is where they get the term uncle, calling a black person an Uncle Tom. I'm almost done. See that? Almost done with it. I wanted to read it because, again, I'm not from the South, and I wanted to understand the historical meaning and true understanding of where it came from. It came from this book. His name is Uncle Tom. You know, the lead character in this novel. This is a novel that was written in the 1850s in the United States during the time of American slavery. And slavery was a major force at this time throughout the Americas. Okay, so not just the US, but Latin America, Caribbean, it was plagued with slavery. Okay, so I'm reading this book on the life of a slave. Okay, so Scott, sorry, my hand. Yeah, so I want to understand things. I'm that type of person. I like to understand where things come from, and to understand when someone calls me an Uncle Tom, I want to know who this Uncle Tom was. And I will. I'm almost done reading it, and I will do a video about it. But shame on those people who say that. You know, they need to read it. You need to read the book, and you're going to think twice before you say um, that insult. So anyway, I I'm sensitive. I live in a neighborhood where the streets are plagued with homeless black men or men that are living in shelters or those hotels that the government bought to house in these former inmates and drug addicts, things like that. It's really pathetic. See here, these people are born and raised here, and you have newcomers who are able to go to college and able to get a high paying job and move into these new luxury buildings that they have here. Yeah, this area has both extremes. The You have the rich and you have the very poor. Okay, and it's becoming very, very rigid. So the middle class is becoming more challenged and quickly becoming poor during this COVID. Okay, so how could I, in conscience sake, call these early leaders in American history my father, when all these the aftermath of post slavery and how it's affecting us? It is affecting these people, and it's not being addressed. And I understood about the, what do you call, the monuments. I mean, someone was trying to pull down a monument and it fell on somebody's head, and the person was in critical condition and sent to the hospital. You don't do things like that. But I understand why people may not want to see those statues, some of those leaders, because these were people who was directly in antithesis against you, against black people, against um, Native American Indians. And I felt that Trump wasn't, maybe he doesn't know history. And for him to say that and say, oh, we're going to put a pro American, yeah, I said, we need to love our country for what it could become. This is, in my opinion, the best country in the world because um, you even have, where I live, you even have a whole bunch of Africans, West Africans that are moving to New York City. I kid you not. A lot of black Africans from West Africa are living here now. Why? Because it's a place where they can use all their labor and get a startup. Where they live, there's it's a dead end. But here it's like the sky's the limit for newcomers. And you can only go up in these places outside of U.S. territories. It is Povertyville in third world nations. It is. And so the only thing to go is up. There's nothing better. There's nothing better than the U.S. You have programs. You have, like, if you lose your job, you can get welfare and food stamps. And it's a place where that illegal aliens are protected their rights, and the children of these illegals are given they can go to school, occupy class seats, and um, it's not enough money to go around for the people who are, parents who are here lawfully. So it's taking resources out from the very poor. Who are the very poor in New York? Black people. And so when I hear that woman at the rally that I heard yesterday, she, I feel that some of these so-called new black leaders at these rallies fail to understand the seriousness of illegal aliens upon the black community is harming us. It's harming our resources. And once these people, these new arrivals, get established, they do not hire these black women. They do not hire these black men. They do not hire the children of these families. Who do they hire? They hire their own people from their own countries. They do not hire you. And so these black women that I speak on behalf of the so-called minority, these new minorities benefit by her, but she doesn't. And then they go, so, well, what happened? I tell you what's happening. You're helping everybody else but yourself. Why do you help everybody but yourself? Because black lives don't matter to black people. Yeah. Hi, Veronica. Yes, exactly. Because there's no love. If you love yourself, you will protect your own. They did not protect me when I asked them simply, please call the cops. This man just did such and such to me. And I lived in the area for over 17 years. I'm not just some stranger. And she yells at me for asking to call the cops. I kid you not. You have it backwards. Backwards, because you don't love yourself. You don't love your skin. You don't love your hair. You don't love you. And when you see a black person that does love themselves, you're jealous. And I feel and I pick up jealousies upon me by many women in the black community. I don't get this. I mean, I get it. But it's sad because I'm very much pro woman, pro family. I want safety for everybody. I'm pro life. And so for someone to have that stance on, you want safety for everybody, and then to stab me in the back, it's very confusing to me. Okay, this is a problem, and you got to wake up because everything's going to be pulled from you. New York City, I feel, okay, again, I live in New York City. I feel that the blacks in New York City are being pushed out. Why you say that? Well, there's no jobs for us. They don't want to hire a black American. Now, the blacks in this area that do have jobs, they work for the city. They work for transit or some other city agency. Okay? And then everything else is all Hispanic or Asian. That's it. There are no black American businesses here. There was one up the road. She left. It was a restaurant, a black southern restaurant. She just couldn't. I don't know what happened. She just fell out of business, and now many of the businesses are closing, and that's also why I got a little depressed yesterday. Um, I wanted to get some stuff to do some beadwork. I make necklaces for myself. It helps me relax, and I love beauty, and I like making things with my hands. And my favorite bead shop is gone. The area, it's on 6th Avenue in the um, late 30s and 40s area in Manhattan. And they're all gone. There used to be a lot of bead places that you can, buy supplies to make some beautiful necklaces. They're all gone. And I would come by periodically since this COVID, wondering when they're going to reopen. And then yeah, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday it was. And then, yeah, 2 days ago, not yesterday, my mistake. It was 2 days ago. All gone. I felt bad. I felt so awful. Yeah, there were those two stores, and there was some other store. Yeah, the pet shop where I went to for the first time to get my dog supplies when I first got my puppy uh, over approaching 11 years ago. That's gone also. A lot of the places I went to are gone. All gone. Where are they going? I I believe, folks, I believe that all this COVID is by design. See, what's happening now is what you call social engineering. I'm going to repeat it. This is social engineering. This is a sneaky, sneaky, sneaky attack on uh, the American people and the planet. See, they want to resculpture the planet. They want to now remove the old school. Okay, those mom and pop pizza places, uh, the arts and crafts. Yeah, yeah. Hi, Roxanne. Yeah, hi, Roxanne. Thank you for your comment. Yeah, they want to remove it. They're doing a lot of building. I mean, where I live, there's much construction. Many of these fancy high-rise buildings are happening, popping up all over the place. So there's two things going on. You have all these luxury buildings being built, but at the same time, their business are closing. Another area that's closing, like I I used to go to the village, what we call, I call it collectively the village. But the village, how I mean it, it includes Greenwich Village and the East Village in Manhattan, downtown. And I used to go to 8th Street. I would get off the train on 6th Avenue and 8th Street and walk east down 8th Street. And this was a fun storefront area. They specialize in leather boots and leather shoes. And then they have those Rocky Horror Show, vintage clothing. It was a fun place. Well, the stores are closing in the clumps. Even before COVID hit, the whole strip, it's like I think like a quarter mile. It takes like 20, 30 minutes to walk all the way from 6th Avenue all the way to like St. Mark's Place. Yes, a nice little walk. You have now restaurants, but now the restaurants are closing. Everything. So all the things that was my foundation. That area in Manhattan was my first place of hanging out because that's where my first job was. Well, actually, the job was on Park Avenue South for 3 days, and then after the third day, it moved to the Village. So basically, that's where my first job was, excluding 3 days, and I got to see, I'm a girl from Queens. Wow, Granted Village, yeah, Greenwich Village, yeah, or some people say Greenwich Village. Yeah, it's an old town, but it's fun and lively, artsy, you know. Everything is well planned. We have to wake up and stand together. Yes, very true, Roxanne. So my favorite area now is pretty much extinct. Pretty much it's an extinct thing. Um, it's an area in the city where I feel safe as a black person. Yeah. Um, you could be a black person in Greenwich Village or the East Village and not feel harassed or endangered. Basically it's free for all. All different groups could go there, all groups, young and old, man. And so that's why I used to hang out there because I felt free there. But now they're doing social engineering there. The stores are closing down in clumps. Okay. What else? Yeah, so my whole life of Manhattan is changing. And it's like, where's it headed to? Let me see, where is it headed to, this city? Well, I have a feeling they wanted to, it's a sneaky way of kicking out the poor. Okay, this is a little controversial, what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it. Okay, this is just my perception. This is not against the group. Okay, I don't have anything against Asian people. Nothing against. I like people from Asia, and I like doing business with Asia, especially East Asia. Okay, if you're a good person, you have a good business, I'll go to you. Okay, that's how I am. But either way, see, I sense something. See, you have to start reading the dots. Okay, the trend is this, the demographics of power in New York City. Um, in the United States, the top racial group in America is the Asian American. They make the most money. And again, this is not to stereotype whatever, but this is what the statistics show, that they are the richest. Not only are they the richest, they also are the healthiest. And then the next in line is the white person, and then the Asian, I'm sorry, then the Hispanic, and then last is the black person. So black people are the bottom of the social ladder, then the Hispanic, then the white, and then the Asian. Now, where I live, the new high-rise buildings are being housed by people from Asia in large clumps. Now, there's also a trend that's starting in Canada. Canada has a program, and I did talk about this a couple of years back. Um, I thought it was important. Um, Canada has a special program for people in East Asia that they want to try to bring the new money, nouveau rich from East Asia to Canada to help build the economy. But what's happening is that they're building the property. They're buying the property. I meant to say they're buying the property, but they're not building it, and they're sitting on it, and they're waiting for the, I guess, when it's profitable to sell it. And the local people, okay, my battery's gonna run low. Let me put the plug on this. I don't want it to catch me off guard. Yeah, I'm gonna try to continue talking. Okay, so what they want to do is, so I'm just maneuvering. I have to put in this plug. Okay, that's one side. I'll put the other one in. Oh, sorry. Okay, well, sorry about that. I wish this call were longer. Okay, this will have to do. Well, anyway, what is happening is they they're not building up the country, and they're buying up all the property, and the people that the people who are born there in Canada are not able to afford the homes. They showed this couple. Now they're doctors. These were white Canadians, and they were doctors. And with their salary, they can't even afford to buy a house, and they have to rent. And so it's something like what the trend is that the country will be bought out by Asia. Okay, and so who's going to be your new masters, so to speak? Okay, now what happens to Canada, in my opinion, is going to happen in the United States of America. They want people to shop online. Yes, and that's true. Yes, I shop online also. I do shop online. Very good point. Thank you for saying that. Um, and so I think the same thing is going to happen here in New York City. The housing and a lot of the businesses are being opened up by people from Asia. How they're able to afford these nice, I mean, they start nice businesses. They're nice, and they do hire local people from Asia. Many, at least East Asians in my area, they some of the places they do hire locals. Depend. I mean, like a restaurant. Um, they hire their own. But like things like the ice cream shops, things like that, they hire local people. Okay. Um, but I think the same thing is going to happen here. And also to tie that in with Biden, Joe Biden. Joe Biden has a son. He has two sons. And they were doing dirty dealing. Joe Biden should be disqualified to run for president because there is a big conflict of interest. Joe Biden's sons, okay, uh, what's his name? His name is Hunter, and he was kicked out of the military. Um, he does not have a college degree, but yet Ukraine and some other countries overseas had him to be on the board of their organization, and they were paying him over $80,000 a month. And there were emails that was found. Yeah, this guy Hunter, Joe Biden's son named Hunter, he abandoned his computer. That was real foolish. He had a computer and he needed to get it fixed, but he abandoned it. He didn't pick it up for whatever reason, and they were able to go through his emails with the computer, and they found very damaging uh, we call them text messages or emails with him, and pointing to that the father, who was vice president at the time under the Obama regime. Okay, indeed, they want people to shop online, but when you wouldn't find these, okay, okay, yes. So, um, it's very damaging. So you have people, so you have Biden to say, who's collected money. See, the son, Hunter, gave half of the money that he made and gave it to Joe Biden when he was vice president. So they were doing pay to play, pay to play, pay to play. So again, this also with China. He was doing with China and Ukraine. And so, or Russia. But either way, isn't that a conflict of interest to do that? So it's saying that if a foreign country has money, they can pay you so that you can make laws or give favor to that nation, and that could jeopardize the people, people of America, because he's saying you're willing to sell your children. What Joe Biden did was, in essence, sold his nation, the children of America, to the communists, and I don't like that. He sold us out to the highest bidder. And so it's going to be like Canada, that our country's not going to be owned. It's going to be owned by other people. Black is the bottom of the social ladder, and we need to stop allowing others to brainwash us. Yes, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Exactly. Exactly. So we are doing things that's harming us. So if you have a leader, if Joe Biden wins the presidential election, this is going to be a real danger to all America, because he's going to sell us out. He's going to put people in spots that's probably going to jeopardize us. You think the Clintons are just going to be in the back seat? They're going to be involved. Why aren't these people arrested? Why, after getting that email from the son about what he had done, how come he's not arrested? How come Joe Biden is still a candidate for the presidency, knowing this? He should be thrown in jail immediately, right? That's treason. It's treason what he did. And look at this. Remember with the 2016 election, you had this black man. I forget his name, but he was the doctor who did that brain surgery. He was kicked out of office, running for presidency, because of that he allegedly lied about opening the door for these white people to escape a riot that happened in the 1970s. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. You're going to say you're going to hold accountability of that type of event? I mean, a lie is a lie, but again, I wasn't there. I don't know, but he said, "Hey, I opened the door to let someone." If anything, it's trivial. and it shouldn't have been held against him. So if that candidate was held against by something simple as opening a door to help some people out so they don't get killed, but someone could receive money from communist countries or former communist nations and um, influence policies and build houses for the less needed and let them pay back at a low interest. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So I think it's an insanity. This is insanity that's going on. Complete insanity. Nothing makes sense. So you have someone who gets caught with his hand in the cookie jar. He and his children, and they want him to run for president still. And remember also with Biden, uh, um, they said that what year was it? I think in 2008 he was running for office. Yeah, 2008 he was running for office, and what was that now? He had plagiarized. He had plagiarized a speech verbatim, a speech of somebody else from the past, and he was claiming it as his own speech. And then he also plagiarized a report that he did in college, about 10 pages verbatim, somebody else's report. Now that's fraud. Okay, taxes are also a big deal. It kills a lot of people. Yes, 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 exactly. Thank you, Roxanne, again. Yeah. So what's that all about? So you have someone who's displayed dishonesty, okay, in his education, and he was disqualified then, and then they put him as vice president, and now that's not enough. Why? I mean, he already had his time as a vice president. Why run for president? Why someone with his background? Well, it could be a setup. They say that his mind, that he has some health issues. And again, remember Kamala Harris. She was running for president, and she had a closed shop. She didn't do well, but they're going to choose her as a VP. But the likelihood that this Joe Biden's not going to survive long, or he's going to be mentally incapacitated, and they're going to put Kamala in. I don't want her in. And I think this is again another setup to initiate a what you call a communist regime. That's what they want to do. They want to take America and make it communist slash socialist slash Leninist, Marxist, whatever how you pronounce it. Yeah, they want to do all those things. They bring in all these people from these other countries, and they say, "Oh, free education, oh, free this and that." Yeah, free because everybody else has to pay for it. Everybody else has to pay for it. And then I hear that they're going to force people off of these farms. They want to they're creating zones where people are to live. These zones are really it's forcing people out from the rural areas and push them into urban micro size living dwellings. And that guy, what's his name? Bloomberg. Yeah, Bloomberg, the former mayor of New York City. Bloomberg, there was a photo of him showing what the blueprints of one of the micro size apartment units. So it's like a jail. You're creating a jail for people to live in. People are going to be pushed off their homes in rural areas and forced to live in urban dwellings so they can be controlled like a prison. And I have a problem with that. That's the goal. What was the other thing I want to talk about? Let me look at my notes here. Yeah, I talked about a lot of things. Okay. Uh, yeah, I did. I mentioned that it's a pay to play. You know what else I was thinking? Okay, with regard to Biden, um, Biden's son, Hunter, when he received money from Ukraine and other countries, um, it's interesting that place like Ukraine was the former part of the former Soviet Union, uh, that was under communism. But you know, people seem to forget who formed the Communist Party. Just look in history. You have Lenin, you have Karl Marx. Look at the background of those people. So you're going to see certain themes pop up again. Okay, black should be understand monopoly very well. Okay, monopoly. Yeah, I never did well on that game. I don't like the concept of monopoly. It's an evil game. It's evil. Let's see. What was I gonna say here? Um, yeah, I think things are tied to one another, and these boards, these businesses, the heads of boards of these businesses, I think some of them might be in the scientific community, and so who runs a lot of these scientists in the Soviet Union, you know, in the past, or even in Nazi Germany, you know, um, the Nazi scientists. Is it aren't they when Hunter is being financed? They call us big time off. Okay, and behind they sell us. Okay, yes. Now I'm concerned about the scientists. Okay, you have Bill Gates, and you know the background of Bill Gates, what ethnicity he belongs to. Yet he wants to promote this ghoulish um, vaccines. And then you have Biden's son that is being on the board of being working on the board of foreign companies for the former Soviet Union. And I'm thinking that these scientists is like a legacy from um, Nazi Germany. The science behind it. They're creating these, you know, like the corona. They created this virus. They created it. So I think there's something, a eugenics component to all this. I mean, I know there might be a big jump between, you know, Biden's son and him being on the board, but the board of what? And I feel that, see, it's pay to play. And if you're being sold, you know, given money by questionable governments and questionable companies, you know, that I have here that if we get into a war, let's say with the East, that once the war is over, you know, people like Americans, you know, they'll be killed off. That was our purpose would be met. So you have a system that wants to create eugenics with these scientists, and these scientists are buying off these politicians. and they'll do anything for money. And like in Nazi Germany, so you had what was called the brown shirts. And the brown shirts were like the police, like the local police of its day. But once the brown, what they call the brown shirts, did their job, they were all exterminated. And then they put in what they called the SS. These were the elite of the German people. Okay, so that it seems like when there's a system being initiated, when they want to overthrow a government or the people, and they want to initiate new policy upon these people, they then, it seems like history shows that they are killed off. And so people like Biden, I think, would be, you know, struck down. And that's my concern. So if you strike down somebody, then it leaves a very vulnerable link in the chain, and they could really take over. And that's what my fear is, that they want to take over. I'm really concerned whether there is a Zionist a Zionist plan over America. See, again, places like Ukraine or Russia were controlled by people from background that seem to suggest that. And I'm concerned that with Trump, that all Trump's children, I think, are married to Zionists. Yes, it's all about controlling. Yes. Okay. So I'm also wondering, is if Trump is being compromised, if you have children and who they're married to, and they're given special positions and can sit in on meetings, who are they representing? Are they representing the American people, or are they about Zionism? Okay, it's not about religion. I don't care what your religion is. And I'm also wondering, since the people who had controlled Eastern Europe, I'm wondering about their links with Zionists. And I'm also wondering, there was something else that happened in history during Nazi Germany. That, like, remember what Trump was saying in his rally yesterday, that he wants to create a new narrative in American history, to teach a favorable history in the United States, of American history. So haven't they done the same thing in Europe as it pertains to World War II and the Holocaust? What do they want to teach? They want to teach that the Nazi Party was an evil organization and that killed a lot of people. But which is true. They were they were about eugenics. But they did learn about the eugenics from English-speaking nations. It's not something that they came up with themselves. So I feel that if Trump wants to teach a history, it has to teach a well-rounded history. And I'm wondering, I fear that that's not going to be happening. It's not going to teach that who George Washington really was, of him being involved in the slave trade. He was a major dealer in slaves. The lives of the people. You have to talk about it. And I think this is what's getting a lot of black people angry. It's what got me angry as a little girl, as a teenager, as a young teen. I didn't do well in social studies because of this subject of slavery. It made black people look like victims. It made black people look like they can't help themselves. It weakened. It made us appear weak in the eyes of others, and that's why all the harassment blacks were getting in New York, and a lot of blacks were uh, acting out because you're not considering our history. You want to the I'm afraid Trump wants to present a false history. Let's see. It indeed is an evil game. Yes, it's an evil game. And I'm not here to embarrass people. I mean, the past is the past. But if you're going to talk about the past, talk it honestly. That's all I'm saying. I'm not here to shame anybody. But I think blacks have been shamed long enough. Yes, the virus was indeed created. Yes, it was. Yeah, it was created all right. And I'm wondering, like, with the Holocaust, which was an evil event, but I'm wondering, in its history, I'm wondering whether or not the Holocaust was a cover story. And you say, a cover story for what? A cover story for the secret space program that was happening. So you had in Eastern Europe many Jewish people who were scientists. They had the techno savvy of mechanical abilities, and these people were selected, and they were selected for a reason. And I think that the whole thing that, oh, because they're Jews, that I think that was the cover story. They did a lot of science, just like oh, was it Albert Einstein? He was a German Jew, and he was a scientist. And when things started to get bad, he left Germany and moved to the United States and he became a scientist for the U.S. government. And I think that the Jewish people were used, and other ethnic groups like the Slavic people, were used to build the special planes and spaceships. There were underground tunnels, and people worked underground, and they worked these people to death. Because see, if you look at the people who died, now these people were skin and bones. They did not die in the gas chambers. They died primarily of hunger and being overworked. But they never told the people what work were they doing. Why bring in all these people from all over Eastern Europe to these places on what they call concentration camps? They just tell you, oh, because they were social undesirables. No, they use these people. Who and don't trust them. Yeah, the WHO, yeah, the World Health Organization. Yeah, I don't trust them either, and neither does Trump. But these organizations, I'm sorry, the the Holocaust, I think, was a cover story. It did happen, but why it happened? The people were being taken and put into forced labor camps to build the special rockets, the spaceships, because they had a secret space program. And then they were starved to death so that they won't tell people the secrets of what is being built. That's what I think would happen. That's what I think would happen. They want that to be kept a secret. So only thing you hear, see, that's why history is very important, to teach the true history, because everybody's just going to think it was just an anti-Semitic thing. It could have been in part something because they didn't like them, but they didn't like a lot of people. But they utilized their knowledge of science to build their space force. And just like the U.S. utilizes the strength of black people for their um, agendas, and once their agendas are done, they kill us off also. So that is my concern. That's what I feel what's happening. So I don't want us to be used. So my in short, with all this, that you have things that are happening to people, and I think that some people are being abused because you have agendas. And they want you to just look at the so-called race card agenda when there's other things happening. I think the race agenda in America is a smoke screen. It is a smoke screen for the selling of our country to Asia. Because again, Biden was involved with Asia to pay to play, and they didn't expect Trump to win the 2016 election, and so they want to boot him out. And they've been on him since for 4 years. So it's a pay. So the Democrats were doing the pay to play, but I'm also concerned about the Republican Party. And I'm concerned that with now Trump mentioning that he wants to implement a new history program. Yeah, evil married to evil. The truth about these people will never be, yeah, they're evil. There's a lot of evil being done. And again, I did vote for Trump in 2016. But now, when he mentioned about he wants to create what he calls a positive, for us to think more positive about America and to have a new education plan in teaching its history, American history, I became concerned. I I want the truth. Again, the truth is not to embarrass people, because those people back in those days are dead. But the legacy, blacks used to live on rural areas. Now many of the black farmers are extinct. I think Trump should implement in his election. I think they said something about some type of program for Black America. I haven't heard of what the plan was, the details about it. If you know about it, you could write that in the chat or in the comment section when it's available. Yeah, I don't know what his plan is, but I've never heard him talk about reparations. My concern is when everybody else is being fed, I feel that blacks in America will be forced to become extinct. Extinct by, because we're not marrying each other. You notice the black leaders that you see? The black leaders that are like the black conservatives, if you see who they're married to, again, okay, people should marry who they want to marry. Okay, it's their business. But a lot of them aren't marrying their own. So I'm concerned about their loyalty to uh, other blacks. And it's almost like sometimes I feel like they're saying that, having a denial about the realities of racism in America. There is racism in America. There are areas in this country that I know I can't move to just because of my race and not because of anything I've done. I was never controllable when I had to read my history book. Okay, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, people don't want to know their past. They live in shame. I mean, all of the Americas basically had slavery, but it seems to be an agenda to push American blacks out. They only use us for riots, and once the riot is over, everybody gets a piece of the pie, but the black American gets the smallest piece. We're not represented. We're not truly represented. I think our presence is being exploited. That's how I feel. And I'm sick of it. When this election is over, we're still going to need places to live. A lot of us had lost jobs. A lot of us, where I live, they're on drugs. We have a mayor. Oh, I forget our mayor's name in New York City. Um, but he's married to a black American woman. I never heard her speak anything regarding the black community. Nothing. You're going to be, even in the Bible. For those of you who's heard the Bible, Esther, I think it's the book of Esther, or Ruth. Ruth, I forget which one. But she uh, had to marry the king of Persia. And when she heard that the Jewish nation was to be obliterated, what did she do? Did she just roll over and pretend that she's not a Jewish woman? No, she pleaded with the king that she's married to, and he interceded. See, some of us, when we marry up, we want to forget our past, but not that character in the Bible. I forget her name. It could have been Esther or Ruth. I forget which one. Yeah, you could correct me out there, who's listening. But one of the two, name, who was married to the king of Persia, and she knew her identity, and she embraced her identity. And when her nationality, people of her nationality was being exterminated, was attempted to be exterminated, she spoke up and she did the right thing. Yeah. So people here who's married, again, this black woman is married to the mayor, yet during her watch, you have a whole slew of black men on the street, and they're going nowhere and not reaching out. And they have kids. They have kids. And racism is not going to just skip them because their father's the mayor. So we forget as a people to buckle down and to protect your own. When we get into seats of power, it's a big thing to have that someone that you're married to is the mayor of a major city of several million people. America was built on a lot of blood. Yes, it was. But he doesn't want us to, but Trump doesn't want to teach that. And that's where I have a problem with him. That is my problem. Again, I'm being honest, I did vote for him in 2016, but when he doesn't want to teach that that this country was built upon blood and sin, that's not being anti-America. It's being honest. It's a very racist country. It's a very hateful country. And I want it to stop. I want us to be able to have property, have our own land, have our own schools, not as an elitist, but to have what everybody else has who lives here in this country. All these newcomers are getting it, but us. And then I feel that you have some sellouts. Yes, You have some who are doing very well, but it's not an accident that the people who claim that there's no racism and that you just have to work a little harder, they all seem to be married to white people. So I think it's a conflict of interest, and that they're being sold out. They're being bought out by who they're married to, and they're getting benefits because of who they married, and that they're forgetting their identity in the process. And I think that is a real shame, a real shame. Yeah, I think I pretty much said what I wanted to say in all this. You know, yeah, you have a president wannabe, Biden, but there's a conflict of interest because of his son had paid him half of the money that the son received from the Ukraine and other countries to pay to play, and that there's a possible conflict of interest of Zionist control that's influencing also our government, and to relinquish control. So this is also another concern I have, and we're not being represented. Excuse me, we're not being blacks aren't really being represented in government. We're used in rallies to get all raunchy and nasty, and then after all the rallies are done, they go back to the same crime-filled neighborhoods and poor educational standards. Yes, exactly. There is racism, big time. Big time. Just look on television. Look at the subliminal messages that you get on television. It's very anti black. They are using more blacks in media, but it's the same thing. If you look at the music videos, what do you see? You see a bunch of angry black men who are gangbanger types, and then the women are just look like prostitutes. Okay, so you ain't going nowhere. There's no wisdom behind what they're doing. It's creating a hostile environment for blacks here, and we're not being represented well. It's really bad. It's really bad. So, any of you have any comments or anything you want to ask me before I go? Yeah, I'm pretty much finished what I wanted to discuss. Oh, I almost forgot. Let me show you this book. Someone gave me this book. It's called let's get it. It's called Spiritual Interview Series. Oh, I can't pronounce that. That's a Japanese name. Spiritual interviews with the guardian spirits of Biden and Trump. See that? They were handing it out for free. This guy, a Japanese man, let's see, if she speaks about the black community, it will be a problem, and she has pretended that they are not her people. Yeah, yeah, that's what comes across with me. Now, I had initially liked her. I thought she spoke very well, but then my antennas started sticking up. Something didn't sit right with me, and my instincts were right. I don't think she's a bad person, but I think that she pretty much sold herself out to believe in the narrative. See, America will support you. White America will support you if your narrative is that there's no racism and it's all in your head. Or, yes, there is racism, but you can overcome it by just working hard. And if you have that narrative, then all of a sudden they give you a white spouse to marry. And I think those white spouses are used as spies. They would be spying on you. They have an they have an inside look of the community, okay? And so they can always send information on what's going on. And that's why you really have to be careful who you marry. People are marrying people. Again, you should marry who you feel like marrying. But be careful if you're marrying an outsider because our community is being infiltrated. And that's what I think what's happening. They're not marrying you because they love you. They're marrying because they want to get something from our community. They want to get info. They want to get info. And then they want to use you for politics. That's what's happening. So again, yeah, this book by this person said God chose Trump. Yeah, see that? Spiritual interviews with the guardian spirits of Biden and Trump. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Yeah, I was given this in Manhattan. They were handing out for free. And the interview that this guy did was just done August of this year. They created this book quick. Yeah, it's not a big book. Yeah. It was written in Japanese and then they translated it into English. Yeah, I can't wait to read it. I'm going to be reading this book. Mm-hmm. Yep, yep, yep. Yep, yep, yep. So that's what's happening, people. Yeah, this should be really interesting. Um, yeah, this is really interesting. This whole election, you have people who are doing things behind the scenes. I mean, no matter how you slice it, I'm concerned about my country. I'm definitely not going to vote for Biden, but I'm having concerns about Trump. Because, see, I don't want the far right. The far right is wrong also. And I felt that what he was saying towards the end of the rally, you know, the speech he gave yesterday at the rally, it was at the very end very problematic for me. I can't pretend that certain things didn't happen in history. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That's why I'm reading books like this. Uncle Tom's Cabin. It's a classic. I want to educate myself. Again, this is a novel, but it depicts what life was like. Yeah. So, I guess I'll be moseying along this day. Let's see. I'm not sure what I'm gonna have for dinner. I see it's a little after 4 o'clock here. Um, yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, I just want to stay home today. Yeah, my muscles have to recuperate from all the walking I've been doing all this week, and yeah. So that's about it. I appreciate your comments and everything. Your comments are very valuable, and yeah, I want to get these messages out because people got to know what's going on. People got to know, you could be getting fooled. Yeah. Yes, during the slave trade, blacks were not allowed to marry whites, and if it has, they were dealt with. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's against the law. So things like that has to be addressed. To go and with you have to go. Okay. Okay. Oh no, I was saying that I have to go. Yeah, that I was gonna go for the evening. I hope I understood you right. Yeah, but yeah, everything's good. Yeah, just gonna see what to eat or whatever, and just take it easy. So, again, thank you so much for listening and contributing. And yes, you can share this live stream with friends, family members. You can comment below, and you can also support my channel via my PayPal me account. And if you like to donate, just go to my channel, Spirit Journey. And on the banner of my channel, on the right hand side, you will see my PayPal me account, the link. Just click on the link and follow the prompt, and any amount would be greatly appreciated these days. Thank you again in advance. Peace and love to you all, and peace to love to all Americans. Yes, um, I love my country and I love its people. Let us love one another, okay? And use discernment. Take care, guys. Have a wonderful, safe evening. Bye bye.